Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be discussing in very simple terms the difference between money and currency. Let's get right to it. So what is the difference between money and currency? Aren't they the same thing? You know, that's the actual first hurdle that most people have to overcome, is to understand that money is not currency. It's very, very different. But isn't it interesting that in society, we're taught that money and currency are interchangeable? It's the same thing. Don't worry about it. It's too complicated. It's either don't worry about it, you'll get it when you're older, or when you're older, it's too complicated, let us handle it for you, the experts. Financial advisors, bankers, creditors, all those folks, stockbrokers, hey, we'll hold your hand and we'll take care of it for you. There used to be a time, not that long ago, that everybody really understood how money works. And anytime a politician or a government agency or anybody in any kind of significant position tried to manipulate the money stream in any way, the general public would move en masse because they knew what they were trying to do and they would stop them. Nowadays, though, we've been programmed for so long, since we were little kids, a couple generations in fact, that we've just been programmed that, you know what, money's way too complicated. It's you know, stocks, and there's derivatives, and there's all these weird contracts and insurance pieces and all these ratings and, you know, math. It involves math. Oh, I hate math. I don't want to think about it. Especially in a society where you only have a 6-second focus. And actually, it's much, much less than that now. When you're scrolling through on your phone, I think it's more down to about 2 or 3 seconds. That's it. So with that in mind, why would you bother watching the rest of this video at all? Because your intimate understanding of money versus currency and how it actually works will be the defining difference between you being successful and you dreaming of being successful. Now, I got to be very clear about this. The reason that you want to understand the difference between money and currency so well is because it will absolutely determine whether you are successful in life or not. And I don't just mean wealthy. I mean have the freedom to find good health, good relationships, good spiritual essence, whatever it is that you're searching for in life. Without a financial stable foundation to build on, you will forever not be able to pursue good health, good relationships, good spirituality, good anything, because you'll be so busy working and falling behind on bills and not getting enough sleep and working 6 different jobs and always struggling to get by that you won't have any time for anything else. Isn't that what a machine does? It just works and works and works and works and works, and then finally just they put it out to pasture and retire it. Retire, very good word. We talked about it in a different video. So let's get back to it. That is why it's so important for you to listen to the rest of this video. So what is money and what is currency? Money, interestingly enough, is defined as always intangible. You can't touch it. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all. We've always been taught that money is a thing, it's something that we use to exchange. Actually, that's not accurate. Money is the subjective understanding of value between two human beings in the process of exchanging value, in the process of exchanging goods. Let's say one person has cows and the other person has corn. Well, how much corn does it cost to buy a cow? Or how many bushels of corn will one cow get you? Well, that depends, because the person who raises the cows knows how much feed, how much water, how much shelter, how many years it takes to grow the cow. And the same thing is true with the person who grows the corn. He knows how long it takes to till the fields and to make sure the soil's right and to keep the pests away and to get the corn to grow each season, and then how much energy it takes to actually bring the corn in. See, the difference between corn and cows too is you call the cows in for food and they come in out of the fields. The corn you have to go and get, so it's very different. but the value of those things are set by the subjective perspectives of each individual involved. That value that's agreed upon, that 10 bushels of corn is the same as 1 cow, is actually what money is. It's that abstract idea of the value of these goods. All right? Pretty trippy stuff, huh? Now that's where currency comes in. So for a long time, people would have cows, but they didn't want to carry their cows around through town just to buy groceries, and so they would have pieces of paper, certificates that showed that they were the owner of cattle, a certain number of cattle, or a certain acreage, or a certain business that generated this many goods every month or every year. And they would take that certificate with them, and they would get credit for goods at a grocery store, a general store, or wherever. And they would be able to get certain amounts of food or certain amounts of shirts or shoes or whatever it was that they needed to be able to keep growing more cows or keep their business going. And they could use that value as an exchange. And up to a certain point, then they would give 1 cow and they'd bring the cow to the person after extending the credit at the store, right? So there's where credit started to come in too. So I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible, what money is and where it came from as an abstract idea, right? So that certificate that said this person owns this many cows turned into currency. So now you have a piece of physical paper, a physical item that has mass that you can hold and feels and looks official and says, oh, he's got a whole bunch of cows in his yard. This is good. So I'll extend him credit because I believe that my groceries are, this much of my groceries is worth this much of a cow. So if I give him enough groceries, I'll finally get a single cow from him, which means I get meat, and then as it gets older, or I'll get milk for as long as it's alive, and then when it gets older, I can always slaughter it and I can have the meat for a couple years. Really good deal. Right? So there's that value exchange, right? But now instead of carrying a cow around all the time, the person would give a certificate of the cow to the grocer or to the post office or to whoever he's getting transportation from. And then when they wanted that cow, they could go to the farmer and say, okay, I'm here with this certificate you gave me for the goods that I gave you. I want that cow. And they say, okay, well, here's the cow. Thank you for doing business with me. And they take the certificate back. And then they walk off into the sunset with their cow. Well, then the idea came along that made it even more convenient for folks, which was the discovery of gold and silver, right? Now we're going way back now. This is not recent. The really nice thing about gold and silver is that they both are shiny, they're difficult to find, and they're really heavy when you hold them. If you've ever held a bar of silver or a bar of gold, it's super heavy. Gold actually is a very soft metal. And silver actually is really, really heavy. You hold a little bar of it and you can feel the weight of that. It feels valuable. Now that's why gold and silver are so popular. You make those into coins and you can feel them in your pocket. You can feel them in your hand. They have intrinsic value. That's the difference between currency that is backed by a commodity or is the commodity, which would actually be money, or just a currency that is not backed by anything, which would be fake money or fiat currency, which is the term that's used now. Now, we won't get into that just yet. So let's slow down and go back to money being the abstract, intangible store of value, right? That's an important point, that it can store value. That subjective, that abstract idea, the subjective value that two people place on cows and corn, it stores value. That cow will always take the same amount of time to grow, the same amount of feed, and the same amount of field to graze. That corn will always take the same amount of seed, the same amount of water and sunlight, and the same amount of time to grow each season. That doesn't change, right? So the commodity or the currency that's used to exchange those can go down and up in value, so that it looks like the cow or the corn is getting more expensive, but actually the value of the corn, the energy it takes to get them to where they're worth being bought or sold, stays the same. So that's an important point, and that's where the value of the money comes in. The abstract, intangible store of value, the subjective agreement of value between two peoples, money. Currency is the medium of exchange, but currency never stores the value. It never stores the value of how long it takes to grow the cow or how long it takes to grow the corn, right? All of that is in the money. The currency is just a representation of the value. So it means it's backed by the actual value. Now, the interesting thing about gold coins is that a gold coin actually is a money because it has intrinsic value as a heavy, shiny, nice piece of metal. It feels good. And that's exactly like the cow and like the corn. It takes time to go dig in the ground and find a gold mine, right? A thread of gold somewhere in the earth, and then dig it up and refine it and melt it down and smelt it and shape it into a coin. It takes the same amount of effort to go out and dig up gold out of the ground, melt it down, turn it into that beautiful coin. That will never change. Same amount of hours, same amount of time, and the same amount of energy to turn it into a pretty coin that you can hold in your hand. That will never change. That value that's built into making that coin look so nice never changes. However, the currency that can be used to buy that gold coin, instead of just using the coin as an exchange medium, to be able to use a different medium, a currency like a dollar bill or a euro or a yen, paper money, or even copper coins, which aren't even copper anymore, they're zinc, but that's a whole nother story. To buy that gold coin, that can change. See, the value of the gold that's built into that gold coin, the value of going out and digging it up and smelting it and shaping it, right? That's the money. That's the value built into it, like the value built into the cow, like the value built into the coin. The currency, however, it's easy to print up money. You can print up tons and tons and pounds of money. On paper, cotton, whatever you want to put them on. They're only this big. You print big sheets of them. Machines pump them out in a big fat hurry. It takes no time at all to make currency, right? So where's the value? The value is forced upon you by policy, by regulation, by federal law, by state law, by whatever law. Some government somewhere says, we're going to use this paper as our currency. And if you don't, you can't do business in this country. And if you do, we'll come and we'll arrest you at the point of gun. How about that? So now you've got something that human beings know doesn't really store value, but it is used as a medium of exchange, and it is set as a value standard by the laws that are written by the government, and they say we have to use it, and if we don't, we'll get in a lot of trouble. So, all right, fine, we'll use it, but you know, I don't really like it as much as I like this gold coin. Man, I like this gold coin. It feels so good, and this is so light. It's convenient because I can carry it around in my pocket, but I really like this gold. Okay, so how about this? I'm going to put this gold in a bank, right? So it's safe. I don't have to think about someone breaking into my house and stealing my gold coins from under my bed or digging up my jars that I have buried in my backyard. I'm going to put them in a bank so they're safe, right? I don't have to think about people trying to rob me while I'm, not home. And I'm going to have the bank give me a gold certificate. In fact, the U.S. Treasury used to issue dollar bills that said silver certificate. And you could go to the U.S. government and exchange those bills for actual silver coins. Silver dollars, remember? They were real silver before they were turned into not real silver. Okay, so that was the idea. Now you've got your gold and silver being stored by a bank or in a safe somewhere, and a certificate issued by the bank that's keeping it safe for you saying, hey, this person has this much gold in our bank, and we will stand behind that. And so when they give this to you, you can take this as payment, and it's okay, because if you need to, you can bring this piece of paper back to our bank, and we'll give you the gold. How about that for a deal? So if you ever really get nervous, you can just come and get the gold. We've got it right here in the bank. No challenge at all. As long as you've got that certificate and it's authentic, we'll give you the gold back. Well, that was great until the government got wise. They got smart and they decided, you know what? We can write laws and force people to use the money that we print endlessly, day after day, night and day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, print and print and print. And we don't have to have any gold backed behind it. We don't have to have anything behind it. No silver, no nothing. In fact, you know, the only thing we need behind these bills, these dollars, these currencies that we print is our military might. Our local police, our National Guard, our Army, our Navy, our Air Force, our Marines, that's all we need. Because you know what? If anybody gets out of line, we will crush them. And boy, they do. Boy, they do. But I won't get into politics. We're just talking about the difference between money and currency. So that's where you had the separation of gold-backed currency. So it wasn't money. The gold is money and currency because it has its own intrinsic value. It feels good. Currency is just paper that you're forced to use. Currency that's backed by gold is paper that says you've got this gold. Currency that's fake or fiat just means that there's nothing behind it except a government saying, you better use this or we're coming after you. Because if they let you get away with not using it, the whole system falls apart. And they know that. I discussed that in another video and how important it is to maintain that, right? If they don't, everybody will revert. In fact, right now, Britain has left the European Union. Brexit. Everybody's talking about it, right? It's so exciting. It's life-changing stuff. Leaving the European Union. Huge. And what is everybody in England doing that has any brains about them? They're buying swaths of gold and silver. They are taking all of their cash, 50, 60% of all of their life's savings out of the bank and buying gold or silver. Why? Because it still takes the same amount of time to go in the ground, dig out the gold, smelt it all down and clean it up and shape it and make it look a nice little bar of gold or a nice little gold coin. It takes the same amount of time and effort and energy and resources as it did 1,000,000 years ago, right? There's some technology that may make it a little bit easier, but you still got to move a lot of dirt to find that gold. And then you got to melt it down. That takes a lot of energy to get it hot enough. And then you got to purify it, and then you got to shape it, and then you got to protect it. You got to pay people to protect that gold to get it someplace safe, right? So remember that. Every time there's insecurity about currencies, especially world currencies, because all of the world currencies right now are fiat or fake, which means that the governments have indoctrinated them into their cultures. You are forced to use them. Anytime there's instability in those systems, and of course, as you know, with a fiat currency, you always lose purchasing power. The gold always has the same intrinsic money value because of how long it takes to make the gold, or to grow the cow, or to grow the corn. But fake money always loses purchasing power. That's called inflation. Now, we've all grown up thinking that inflation is normal, but in a gold-based system, there is no inflation because it takes the same amount of time to make the gold coin. You see what I'm repeating myself, but it's really important that you get this. So, now that you understand that these fake monies, when they become unstable, people who are educated, people who understand money, the first thing they do, they go and they buy silver and they go and they buy gold. Now, hopefully this video has made it a little more clear to you in simple terms exactly what the difference is between money and currency. And I know it's kind of strange that you say, well, money is intangible and currency is something you can touch. Yes. Money is intangible because it's the value that we as human beings give to something. You know, one last good example of the intangible money, even though it's a store of value, right? You'll pay to stay at a cheap motel 40, 30, 50, 60 bucks a night, right? Dollars. I'm speaking in US dollars, so I'm talking about currency. But to stay at the best 5-star hotel resort that has ever been built in the entire world, you're willing to pay $10,000, $20,000 per night for the presidential suite, which looks like a mansion on top of a mountain. It's incredible how many rooms it has and the size of the bed and the bar and the bathroom and the showers. You'll pay tens of thousands of dollars per night just to stay in that room one night versus 50 bucks for a motel. Why is that? Well, because well, look at it. It's so beautiful and it's big and look at all the space. Yeah, but you're just going to sleep and shower and go to bed and wake up in the morning and then you're gone. Yeah, but look, they've got gold on the faucet. Well, that's kind of nice. Do you get to keep it? No. Do you get to keep the blanket, the towels? Can you even keep a towel? Yeah, but they're monogrammed, and I get to use a monogrammed towel. Look at that. It's so amazing. Isn't that interesting? The human emotion kicks in. The human being gives it value because that's what's important to them. I'll pay that much for that experience. But the motel, you'd be lucky if you get 40 bucks out of me. Big difference. That's where money comes in. It's intangible, but it's the value we assign as human beings. But that's where the store of value is, because how long did it take to build the motel compared to how long did it take that resort to build that room and get it that nice? How much resource did it take to build that room and make it that beautiful and make the artwork perfect and the service perfect and the whole experience of walking into it perfect compared to the motel? There's where money comes from. There's where the value comes from. What was put into the creation of what you want? How about that? All right, so I hope that was helpful. The difference between money and currency in simple terms and why it's so absolutely vital to your success. Now that you understand it, definitely leave some comments down below. I'd love to see if you have more questions or if you have suggestions on other things I should speak about or hopefully even stuff you may know that you'd like to share with me, because I do love to learn. And speaking of learning and really learning more about money, if you're interested, in the comments down below or in the description below, we actually have a link to our course, The Richest You, Mastering Money. And it's got to be one of the most amazing courses that you'll ever experience in terms of learning exactly what money is and how it works and how to use it for you to actually help you reach your goals and your dreams financially. So definitely check that out. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and definitely subscribe to the channel. We'd love to be able to hear from you and let you know when every time a new video comes out. All right, so from the Richest You crew, thanks to all you money maniacs, and I'll see you next time.